Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Wednesday morning, bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Anybody out there want coaching or mentoring, go to my website, skyazrael.com. I always put the link below where you can just find me on Facebook or Instagram, search my name, send me a message. I've already talked to, I think, 5 or 6 different people this morning through social media, different clients and people that I mentor and coach. So it's a perfectly good place to contact me. And that's one of the benefits of coaching with me, is that you get access to me. Don't call me at 3 in the morning, I will not answer. But you can text me or send me messages on Messenger or wherever. Let's talk about triggers. Now it's Wednesday, I should have done this video Monday. We did Mafia Monday. Not a single person liked my video. Not a single one of you. I guess the scene wasn't very popular. We had a scene a week ago. I got like 30 likes, 900 views. This one didn't get much at all. Hopefully the next scene, I think we're getting into next Monday. If I remember right, now I wrote this book 5 years ago, but if I remember right, I think the next scene is, there's a murder in the next scene. So that's always exciting. There's a lot of murders in this book. We're still getting started. I think we're in chapter 7. We just started chapter 7. There's like over 30 chapters, guys. We're not halfway through the book. We're just in the beginning. But that's on Mondays. I should have done this video on Monday. We're doing it on Wednesday instead. So let's go the rest of the week from this point forward with 0 triggers. 0. No triggers. No triggers this week. The triggers slow you down, right? When you get triggered, your whole program shuts down. You can't eat right, you can't work out, I'm not going to the gym, I'm pissed off, I'm upset. You justify eating crap, you stay up late, you go down weird, stupid rabbit holes on YouTube that just make it worse and worse. Maybe you're triggered by a relationship, by a breakup, and you spend the rest of the time for hours focused on that bitch. When you should be focused on your success and your strength and moving forward. Sometimes it just stops us completely, depending on what the trigger is and how severe it is, how severe your PTSD is. And you self-isolate. You completely shut your world down. This can have devastating effects. Maybe you self-destruct. You get tempted. You go back to whatever addiction you had. All it takes is a trigger or two, and you're right back where you started. 0 triggers this week. 0. None. Now, it's easier said than done. For some of you, it feels like that triggers come out of nowhere, and I remember what that's like. You can see them coming, but you have to learn what they are. You have to become highly aware and really knowledgeable about what your triggers are. So make a list, get a pen and some paper, and think about the things that trigger you, the small things, the big things. Just make a list randomly, quickly. Don't spend too much time on this. You're not going to write out paragraphs, 1 word each. What triggers you? Bam, bam, bam. Make a list with 4 or 2 or 10 points. If you got 10 triggers, write down what they are. And be honest, you're not going to show the list to anybody. You're not publishing this. It could be something that's stupid, that's not very fun to promote. Some little stupid thing sets you off, write it on the list. You want to know this stuff for your own personal knowledge, so then when these things pop into your path as you're navigating forward, you see it coming, and then you can immediately either alter your course, navigate around it. You may still be forced to meet that trigger and go through it, go over it, to interact with it. But even that, just seeing it coming can help you, because as you approach the trigger, you can immediately engage in some stoicism, in detachment from emotion, in various aspects of personal power. And I have a bunch of tips and tricks that I've learned over the years about this kind of stuff. And then you may be lucky and find yourself going through something that usually triggers you, But since you're so aware of it and knowledgeable about yourself and about what this trigger is, you go through it, and this time it doesn't trigger you. You get onto the other side of that experience, or that confrontation, or whatever it is, and you're not all fucked up off of it. You were last week, but not this time. This time you made it through. You're perfectly fine. You're moving forward. So make that list. This is important. And avoid those things this week. The goal this week that I'm setting out for myself and for others, for you can follow along if you like, is 0 triggers for this week. 0, none. No triggers. Nothing that stops us or slows us down. How great would it be to have a whole week of no triggers? Some people get triggered a lot, all day. They're like a pinball in a pinball machine just bouncing around. Reacting, always responding. That's a shitty way to live. That's tough. It's exhausting. Trust me, I know. You'll ruin your life like that. So some of the things that trigger me are little things at this point, because I've been at this a lot, and I've done a lot of therapy and personal growth towards my past, trying to set that story straight and fill in those gaps and to understand things and to get over things and whatever, practice forgiveness and all of that. But sometimes with me it starts with the little things, and they get triggered in little ways, like little stabs, little pokes. They don't kill you, they don't even really draw that much blood, but you feel it, and you feel tough enough to go through it, and you suffer through those like little prickers. But I find myself on edge after that. And I may have this undercurrent of just being kind of on edge. So then when something actually happens, something, even if it's not really that major, but something real happens, well, I'm already on edge. I'm already feeling attacked. And the worst thing for me is when I get overwhelmed. When I get overwhelmed with triggers, I shut down. Bam. Completely stop. Everything stops. The program, mind, body, and soul, everything stops. And then what comes after that is the monster. The monster comes in and takes over. I turn back into my old self. So I've been hyper aware of the little things, because that's where it starts for me, is the little things. And for example, I'm not reading comments on social media. I find that they're almost always just negative. And that kind of thing sets me off. I'm not trying to absorb a bunch of negativity this week. 0 triggers. I'm not paying attention to the news. The news sets me off. I could watch the news for 2 minutes and be yelling at the TV, yelling at the computer screen. It's not productive. It's not making me any money. That's not bringing me any more clients. That's not bringing me any more love or any more light. That's not helping me move forward in any way, shape, or form. I don't need to know that stuff. I don't need to engage in that stuff. 0 triggers. I'm not fucking with the news. I may go back to it at some point. I'm sure I will. It's awfully addictive. I feel like a duty to stay tuned in of what's going on, but I want to go the whole week with no triggers. There's a couple people that set me off when I talk to them. Friends, acquaintances. There's a guy at the gym just yesterday, president of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. Good guy. I've known him for a little bit, and the content of the conversations that we have can trigger me, because he talks about a world that I've tried to put behind me, this 1% world that he's still very much a part of. He's older and he's in it, he's gangbanging. And those types of conversations can put me into a mindset that's not healthy. I have another buddy of mine who, I'm down for, I'm loyal to, I know his kids, I know his family. If he needs help, I'm there. But I have been, I hate to say it, avoiding him this week. He texts me often, and I'm not fucking with him because he's a former leader of the Latin Kings and was wrapped up in that heavily. He's been to all the prisons for a long time, and he talks about prison relentlessly, talks about his gang relentlessly. And that kind of thing can set me off. I'm not trying to be a part of none of that shit. I'm not trying to even think about that stuff. Dwelling on that stuff takes me off of my path of productivity. It introduces an element into my positive mental attitude that kind of like sours my drink, you know? I could go on. I have other little things that trigger me. They're not big things. These are little things. Things that will set me off my path, and I can't be set off my path this week. 0 triggers. Food for thought.